The stars were quiet that night. Captain Park stood at the bridge window of her ship, the horizon's edge, watching the endless darkness of space. She was a woman of 42 years, with gray streaks in her black hair and tired lines around her eyes. She had commanded this vessel for 8 years now, and she knew every sound it made, every vibration in its metal bones. Behind her, the bridge crew worked in calm silence. Lieutenant sat at the pilot's station, his fingers resting lightly on the controls. He was young, only 29, but he flew the ship like he was born in the cockpit. Dr. Lee was reviewing medical reports on her tablet, her face soft with concentration. Engineer was checking the engine readings for the 3rd time that hour, as he always did. And Specialist Han was listening to the endless chatter of space communications through her headset, her eyes half closed. It was a normal night, a boring night, the kind of night where nothing happened. Then Han sat up straight. Her eyes went wide. She pressed her headset closer to her ear and listened hard. "Captain," she said, her voice was strange. "I'm picking up a distress signal." Park turned from the window. "Source." "It's coming from the Veil Nebula region, approximately 4 hours from our position." Han's fingers moved across her console. "The signal is weak, but I can make out the identification code. It's a vessel, a passenger liner called the—" The bridge went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. They were one of the oldest species in the Galactic Confederation. They were tall, insect-like beings with hard shells and many eyes. They were proud. They were powerful, and they hated humans. Humanity had joined the Confederation only 40 years ago. To the ancient species who had traveled the stars for thousands of years, humans were newcomers. Children. Worse than children, they were dangerous children. They called humans chaos bringers and violence makers. They said that humans solved every problem with aggression. They said that humans could not be trusted. In the Confederation Council, they voted against humans at every opportunity. They blocked human trade deals. They refused human diplomatic missions. They made it very clear that they did not want humanity in their galaxy. And now a ship was sending a distress call. Looked at the captain. "Should we respond? They don't exactly like us." Park did not answer immediately. She walked to Han's station and looked at the data on the screen. There was a large passenger liner. It had suffered some kind of engine failure. It was drifting toward a neutron star, a collapsed sun with gravity so strong it could crush a ship like paper. "How many people on board?" Park asked. Han checked the records. Standard capacity for that vessel class is around 2,400. It's listed as a pilgrimage ship. Civilians, captain, families, children, religious elders. Park closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about the ambassador who had called humanity a mistake of evolution at the last Confederation meeting. She thought about the diplomats who walked out of the room whenever human representatives tried to speak. Then she thought about 2,400 people drifting toward a neutron star. Mothers, fathers, children who had done nothing wrong except be born to a species that feared humanity. "Set a course," she said, "maximum speed." Hesitated. "Captain, are you sure? If we go there and something goes wrong, they'll blame us. They'll say we caused it, or they'll say we didn't try hard enough. We can't win with these people." Park looked at him. Her eyes were calm but firm. "Lieutenant, there are children dying on that ship. I don't care if their parents hate us. I don't care if their government insults us. They are people and they need help. That's all that matters." Held her gaze for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Yes, Captain." He turned to his console and entered the new course. The horizon's edge turned in space, its engines glowing bright as it accelerated toward the Veil Nebula. Dr. Lee stood up from her station. "I'll prepare the medical bay. Biology is different from ours. Their blood is copper-based, and they breathe a slightly different air mixture. I'll need to adjust our equipment." "Do it," Park said. "I want us ready for mass casualties." The engineer spoke for the first time. He was a quiet man who rarely said more than necessary. Captain, if thee is near a neutron star, we'll be dealing with extreme gravitational forces. Our shields can handle it, but only for a limited time. We'll need to be fast. Then we'll be fast, Park said. Han was still listening to her headset. Her face was troubled. Captain, I'm getting more information from the distress signal. They hit some kind of uncharted debris field. Their main engine is destroyed. They have hull breaches on multiple decks. Life support is failing. She paused. They estimate they have 6 hours before the neutron star's gravity tears them apart. 6 hours. Park did the math in her head. 4 hours to reach them. That left 2 hours to evacuate over 2,000 people from a dying ship while fighting against the gravity of a collapsed star. It was impossible. Any sensible captain would know it was impossible. Park was not a sensible captain. She was a human captain, and humans did not believe in impossible. All hands, she said, her voice carrying across the ship's communication system. This is the captain. We are responding to a distress call from a passenger vessel. I know many of you have heard what they say about us. I know they call us violent. I know they call us dangerous. I know they think we are less than them. She paused. Today we're going to show them who we really are. Today we're going to save their people. Not because we want their thanks, not because we want their approval, but because it's the right thing to do. That's what humans do, prepare for rescue operations. She ended the transmission. The bridge was quiet. Looked at her with something new in his eyes. Respect, perhaps, or maybe understanding. 4 hours to arrival, he said softly. Park nodded. She returned to the window and watched the stars streak past as her ship flew toward danger. Somewhere out there, 2,400 were waiting to die. They did not know that help was coming. They did not know that the species they hated most was racing to save them. But they would learn. Today they would learn what humanity was really made of. That was dying. Park could see it the moment her ship came out of faster-than-light travel. The great liner hung in space like a wounded animal, its hull torn open in a dozen places, its lights flickering weakly. Behind it, the neutron star glowed with deadly blue light, pulling everything toward its crushing embrace. Status report, Park ordered. Han's voice was grim. The damage is worse than we expected, Captain. I'm reading hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Their life support is at 40% and falling. They've lost main power. They're running on emergency batteries. Was studying his navigation screen with narrowed eyes. The gravitational pull is intense. The neutron star is only 3 hours from pulling them past the point of no return. After that, nothing can escape. 3 hours, not 6. The situation had gotten worse while they traveled. Open a channel to the, Park said. Han worked her console. Channel open, Captain. Park stepped forward. Vessel, this is Captain Park of the human rescue ship Horizon's Edge. We are here to help. Please respond. For a long moment there was only static. Then a voice came through, sharp, clicking, speaking the common galactic language with a heavy accent. Human vessel, this is Ambassador of the Diplomatic Corps. We did not request human assistance. A proper Confederation rescue fleet is on its way. Your presence is not needed. Park kept her voice calm. Ambassador, with respect, the Confederation fleet is still many hours away. Based on our readings, you don't have that much time. We can begin evacuation immediately. We do not require your help. The ambassador's voice was cold. The people will not accept charity from humans. Your species is known for violence, not mercy. We do not trust your intentions. Park felt anger rising in her chest, but she pushed it down. She had expected this. She had prepared for this. Before she could respond, another voice came through the communication channel. This voice was older, softer, tired with age. Ambassador, that is enough. There was a moment of surprised silence. Then the new voice continued. I am elder spiritual leader of this pilgrimage. Ambassador, I have watched you argue with these humans for 2 minutes. In those 2 minutes, 3 more of our people have died in the lower decks. Our children are crying. Our wounded are suffering. And you speak of pride. Elder, the humans cannot be trusted. The humans came. The elder's voice was firm. No one else came. The Confederation sent a message saying they would arrive in many hours. The humans changed their course and flew toward danger. That is all I need to know. The elder paused. Captain Park, this is Elder. On behalf of the innocent souls aboard this vessel, I accept your offer of help. Please save our children. Park felt something tight in her chest loosen. We're on our way, Elder. Hold on. She cut the channel and turned to her crew. I need options. How do we buy them more time? The engineer had been running calculations on his console the entire time. He looked up, his face serious. Captain, I have an idea, but it's dangerous. We can extend our shields to partially cover the. It will reduce the gravitational stress on their hull and slow down the damage, but it will drain our power reserves very quickly. We'll have maybe 90 minutes before our own systems start failing. That's not a lot of time to evacuate 2,000 people, said. Then we work fast, Park replied. Do it. The engineer nodded and began the process. They could see the horizon's edge's shields expanding, stretching out like a protective hand over the wounded ship. Was still studying his navigation screen. His face was troubled. Captain, getting close enough to dock with thee is going to be extremely difficult. The gravitational eddies around the neutron star are unpredictable. One wrong move and we get pulled in too. Park looked at him. Can you do it? He was quiet for a moment. Then a small smile crossed his face. I've never failed a difficult landing yet, Captain. I don't plan to start now. Then take us in. The horizon's edge began to move. Hands danced across his controls with practiced skill. The ship twisted and turned, avoiding invisible rivers of gravity that could have crushed them. Twice, alarms screamed as they got too close to danger. Twice, pulled them back at the last moment. The crew watched in tense silence. No one spoke. No one dared to distract the pilot. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only 15 minutes, the horizon's edge came alongside the. Let out a long breath. His hands were shaking slightly. We're in position, Captain. Park put a hand on his shoulder. Well done, Lieutenant. They could see the up-close now. Through the broken windows and torn hull, they could see movement inside, civilians, tall and insect-like, their many eyes glowing with fear. Some were helping the wounded. Some were trying to seal hull breaches with emergency patches. Some were simply holding their children, waiting for the end. Han had established a better communication link. Now they could hear voices from inside the ship, crying, praying, calling out for help in their clicking language. Dr. Lee stepped forward. Her medical kit was on her back and determination was on her face. Captain, I'm ready. I can help their wounded. Park nodded. I'm leading the rescue team myself. You're with me. Keep communications open. You're in command of the horizon's edge. Keep those shields running as long as you can. Captain said, you shouldn't go yourself, it's too dangerous. Park was already walking toward the shuttle bay. She paused at the door and looked back. Those people have been told their whole lives that humans are monsters. They're about to meet us face to face. I want them to see a human captain who was willing to risk her life for them. I want them to see our true face. She left the bridge. Watched her go. Then he turned back to his console and whispered, Good luck, Captain. Elder stood at a broken window and watched the human ship hold position beside them. Its shields glowed warm against the cold blue light of the neutron star. Ambassador stood nearby, his many eyes unreadable. They are either very brave or very foolish, he said. Elder shook his ancient head slowly. No, Ambassador, they are something else entirely, something we have never understood about them. He turned to look at the younger. They are kind. They are fierce and violent and unpredictable, but underneath all of that they are kind. We have always seen the violence and feared it. We never stopped to ask what else might be hiding in their hearts. A shuttle launched from the human ship and began flying toward the. Inside were humans coming to save people who had called them monsters. Perhaps, Elder said softly, today we will finally learn who they really are. Inside of the smelled like smoke and fear. Captain Park climbed through the emergency airlock, her boots crunching on broken glass and twisted metal. Behind her came Dr. Lee and 4 other volunteers from the horizon's edge. They wore emergency suits and carried medical supplies, cutting tools, and oxygen tanks. The first thing Park saw was a family huddled against a wall. The father was large, with a dark shell and 6 eyes that all focused on her at once. He pulled his children behind him, his arms spread wide to protect them. His body was shaking, but he did not run. He was ready to fight these humans to protect his young ones. Park stopped. She slowly raised her empty hands. "We're here to help," she said gently. "We're going to get you out of here, all of you." The father did not move. His eyes were full of distrust. Dr. Lee stepped forward. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small package of emergency food, which she had prepared during the journey. She held it out to the children. "For your little ones," said, her voice was soft. "They must be hungry." One of the children, a small creature with a shell still soft from youth, looked at the food with wide eyes. The child looked up at their father, asking silent permission. The father hesitated. Then slowly, he lowered his arms. He took the food from his hand and gave it to his children. "Thank you," he said. The words seemed to cost him something to say. Park nodded. "Get to the upper decks. Our ship is waiting to take you aboard." She turned to her team. "Let's move. We have hundreds more to find." They pushed deeper into the dying ship. Every corridor brought new horrors. Fires burned in some sections. Water flooded others where pipes had burst. Bodies lay in dark corners who had not survived the initial collision. Park's team worked without stopping. They pulled survivors from collapsed rooms. They carried wounded on their backs. They gave their own oxygen to those who could not breathe. In one section, Dr. Lee found a mother lying against a wall. The mother was badly injured. Her shell was cracked and blue blood pooled beneath her. But she was still alive, and she was still holding her infant child against her chest. Knelt beside her. "I'm a doctor, I can help you." The mother looked at her with dimming eyes. "Save my child," she whispered. "Please, I am already dying, but my child can still live." Looked at the infant. The little was struggling to breathe. The air in this section was bad, full of smoke and chemicals. Without help, the baby would die in minutes. Did not hesitate. She removed her own oxygen mask and placed it over the infant's face. Fresh air flowed into the baby's small lungs. The infant took a deep breath and began to cry, the most beautiful sound had ever heard. But now could not breathe. The poisoned air filled her own lungs. She began to cough. Her vision went dark at the edges. She felt herself falling. Strong hands caught her. One of her teammates had arrived with a spare oxygen tank. He pressed a mask to her face, and sweet air rushed into her lungs. He shouted, "What were you thinking?" Took several deep breaths. Then she looked at the crying infant in her arms and smiled weakly. "I was thinking that this baby deserved to live." The mother was watching. Tears fell from her many eyes, something Park had never seen her do before. You gave your breath to my child," the mother whispered. "You almost died for us." "That's what humans do," said simply. She handed the infant to another team member. "Get them to the shuttle, both of them. The mother might still be saved if we hurry." Back on the horizon's edge, things were getting desperate. Engineer watched his screens with growing worry. The shields were draining power faster than expected. The gravitational pull of the neutron star was increasing, and the evacuation was going too slowly. "Lieutenant said, we have maybe 60 minutes of shield power left. After that, both ships will be pulled into the star." Gritted his teeth. How many people have we evacuated so far? About 800, less than half. 800 people saved, over 1,000 still on the dying ship, and time was running out. Opened a channel to the captain. Captain Park, we're running out of time. You need to speed up the evacuation. Park's voice came back, strained and tired. We're working as fast as we can. The ship is falling apart around us. We've lost contact with several lower decks. Captain, if you don't get out soon. I know, Lieutenant, I know. She closed the channel. Around her, the groaned and shook. A section of ceiling collapsed nearby, blocking a corridor. Somewhere in the distance, she could hear screaming. This way, she told her team. There are more survivors in the eastern section. They moved through the chaos. Park's suit was torn. She had cuts on her face from flying debris. But she kept moving, kept searching, kept pulling from the wreckage. In one room, she found a group of children, young who had been separated from their parents in the confusion. They were huddled together, crying and terrified. When they saw Park, they screamed and tried to hide. She knelt down slowly, making herself small. It's okay, she said softly. I know I look strange to you. I know you've heard scary stories about humans, but I promise I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to take you somewhere safe. One child, braver than the others, stepped forward. Are you really a human? Yes, I am. My teacher said humans are monsters. She said humans only know how to destroy things. Park felt her heart ache. Your teacher was wrong, she said gently. Humans know how to do many things. We know how to build, we know how to heal, and we know how to love. Today, I'm going to show you. She held out her hand. The child looked at it for a long moment. Then, slowly, the small reached out and took her hand. Come on, Park said. Let's get you home. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the ship. A wall collapsed. Park threw herself over the children, covering them with her own body. Debris rained down on her back. She felt pain shoot through her shoulder. Something had cut deep. When the shaking stopped, she stood up slowly. Her shoulder was bleeding badly. One of her team members rushed to help her. Captain, you're hurt. You need to evacuate. Park pushed him away. Not yet. There are still people here. Get these children to the shuttle. I'm going to check the lower decks. Captain, that's in order. She turned and walked deeper into the dying ship, blood dripping from her wound, leaving a trail of red among the blue blood on the floor. Behind her, her team watched her go with something like wonder in their eyes. This was who humans were. This was what they did. They ran toward danger when everyone else ran away. They gave their breath to strangers. They bled for people who hated them. Today, they were seeing humanity's true face, and it was not the face of monsters. It was the face of heroes. The horizon's edge was never designed to hold this many people. Refugees filled every corridor, every room, every open space. They sat on the floor, leaned against walls, and held their children close. The air was thick and hard to breathe. The life support system screamed warnings that everyone tried to ignore. Lieutenant looked at the numbers on his screen and felt cold fear in his stomach. They had evacuated nearly 2,000, but there were still hundreds more on the... And they had less than 30 minutes before the neutron star's gravity became inescapable. A transmission came through from Confederation Command. The face on the screen was an admiral, not human, but one of the species, with smooth gray skin and large dark eyes. Human vessel Horizon's Edge. This is Admiral of Confederation Rescue Command. You are ordered to withdraw immediately. Frowned, Admiral, we haven't completed the evacuation. There are still people on the... They cannot be saved. Our projections show that you will be pulled into the neutron star if you remain. Withdraw now. That is a direct order. With respect, Admiral, we're not leaving until everyone is off that ship. The Admiral's face hardened. Lieutenant, do not sacrifice human lives for aliens who despise you. They have made their feelings about humanity very clear. They do not deserve your sacrifice. was about to respond when Captain Park's voice came over the channel. She was still searching for survivors. "Admiral," she said, "this is Captain Park. I heard your order, and I'm refusing it." "Captain, you do not have the authority." "I have the authority of my own conscience. Those people on this ship are not politicians. They are not diplomats. They are mothers and fathers and children who have never hurt anyone. They don't deserve to die because their leaders made bad choices." Her voice was firm, unshakable. "You want to talk about what to think of us? Fine. They think we're violent. They think we're dangerous. They think we only know how to destroy." She paused. "Today, we're going to prove them wrong. Today, they're going to see what humans really are. And if you want to punish me for that later, you can. But right now, I'm saving these people." She cut the transmission. On the horizon's edge, felt something warm spread through his chest. Pride. He was proud to serve under this captain. He was proud to be human. "You heard the captain," he said to the crew. "We're not leaving, let's finish this." The situation was desperate. The ship was breaking apart. Whole sections were collapsing into the neutron star's gravity well. Park and her remaining team were in the lowest deck, searching for the last survivors. They found Elder there. The old was sitting calmly in a small room, surrounded by wounded and dying members of his people. He was speaking soft words to them, prayers perhaps, or simply comfort. Park rushed to his side. "Elder, we need to go. The ship is about to break apart." Looked at her with ancient, tired eyes. "Captain, I am old. My legs do not work well anymore. I will slow you down. Leave me here and save the others." "No. Captain, please, be practical. My life is almost over anyway. Save the young ones." Dr. Lee pushed forward. Her own injuries were wrapped in hasty bandages, but she ignored them. "Elder, I did not give my oxygen to a baby just to let an elder die. We are taking everyone. That includes you." Before could argue, bent down and lifted him onto her back. The old was surprisingly light. His shell had thinned with age. Stood up, holding him steady. "Your injuries," Park started. "I'll manage," said through gritted teeth. "Let's move." They ran through collapsing corridors. The ship shook violently. Metal screamed as it twisted and tore. One of the team members fell when the floor gave way beneath him. Park grabbed his arm and pulled him back from the edge of a hole that dropped into open space. Finally, they reached the last shuttle. It was small, too small for everyone. Park did a quick count. 15 people, including wounded. The shuttle could hold 12. "I'll stay," one of her team members said immediately. "No," Park said. "We all go or none of us go." "Captain, the math doesn't work." A new voice spoke up. Ambassador stepped forward from the group of refugees. His many eyes were wet with something that might have been tears. "I will stay. I am the one who almost refused your help. I am the one who spoke against humanity. If anyone should pay the price for our pride, it should be me." Park looked at him for a long moment, then she shook her head. "No one is staying. Everyone get on the shuttle, now." "But Captain..." "We'll make it work. Squeeze in, hold each other. I don't care if we're packed like fish. No one dies today." They crammed into the shuttle, and humans pressed together in impossible closeness. There was no room to move, barely room to breathe, but everyone was on board. The shuttle launched just as the finally broke apart behind them. Great pieces of the ship tumbled into the blue light of the neutron star and vanished forever. But they were free, they were alive. On the horizon's edge, Engineer was watching the power readings fall toward zero. "Lieutenant, the shields are failing. We need to leave now or we never will." Saw the shuttle approaching. "Hold on just a little longer." "We don't have a little longer." The shuttle docked. Immediately began the escape sequence. The horizon's edge turned away from the neutron star and fired its engines at maximum power. But it wasn't enough. The gravity was too strong. They were barely moving. Made a decision. "Everyone hold on." He launched himself from the bridge and ran to the shuttle bay. The shuttle that had just arrived was badly damaged, but its engine still worked. He climbed inside and started it up. His voice came through his communicator. "What are you doing?" "Giving us a push." He flew the shuttle out of the bay and positioned it behind the horizon's edge. Then he fired the shuttle's engines at full power, pushing against the larger ship. It was like trying to move a mountain by throwing pebbles at it. But slowly, impossibly, the horizon's edge began to accelerate. The shuttle's engines burned hot, too hot. Warning alarms filled the tiny cockpit. Knew he had seconds before the shuttle exploded. He ejected. His body flew through space, tumbling in the gravity currents. The shuttle exploded behind him, and the force of the blast pushed the horizon's edge just a little bit faster, just enough to escape the neutron star's pull. Floated alone in space. His suit's oxygen was running low. He watched the horizon's edge fly away from him, carrying thousands of people to safety. He smiled. It was worth it. Then a small ship appeared beside him, a rescue pod. The door opened and Ambassador reached out his hand. "Take my hand," Human said. His voice was thick with emotion. "I will not let you die, not after what you did for us." Took his hand. As the pod flew back to the horizon's edge, Ambassador looked at the human he had saved. "I was wrong about your kind," he said quietly. "I was so wrong." Just smiled and closed his eyes. They had done it. They had saved them all. 3 days later, the horizon's edge arrived at Confederation Station Harmony. The great station was the center of galactic politics, a place where 100 species met to discuss trade, treaties, and the future of their shared civilization. Today, representatives from every corner of the galaxy had gathered to witness something extraordinary. The human ship looked terrible. Its hull was scorched and dented. Its shields were completely drained. Smoke still rose from damaged sections, but it flew proudly into the station's dock, carrying over 2,000 refugees who should have been dead. Captain Park walked down the ramp first. Her arm was in a sling and fresh bandages covered her wounds. Behind her came her crew, Dr. Lee limping but smiling, Lieutenant with burns on his hands, Engineer with dark circles under his eyes, and Specialist Han who had not slept in 3 days. They looked broken and exhausted. They looked like heroes. The refugees came next. Families held hands as they stepped onto the station. Children looked around with wonder. Elderly were carried on stretchers by human medics who refused to leave their sides, and walking at the front of them all was Elder, supported by Ambassador. The station was silent. Hundreds of alien diplomats and officials watched as the humans and walked together through the main hall. Camera drones floated above, broadcasting the scene to billions of viewers across the galaxy. Captain Park was led to the Confederation Council chamber. She expected to be punished. She had disobeyed a direct order from Admiral. She had risked her ship, her crew, and caused diplomatic complications. In the strict hierarchy of the Confederation, such things did not go unpunished. The council chamber was vast and circular. Representatives from every species sat in elevated seats, looking down at the small platform in the center where Park stood alone. Above her, screens showed her face to everyone in the room. Admiral spoke first. "Captain Park, you ignored a direct order from Confederation Command. You risked a human vessel and crew for a mission that was deemed impossible. You." "Admiral," Elder's voice cut through the chamber. The old had been given a seat of honor, and now he rose slowly to his feet. "With respect, I wish to speak." The council fell silent. Elder was one of the most respected spiritual leaders in the galaxy. Even Admiral could not deny him. Turned to face the assembly. His many eyes swept across the gathered species, and dozens of others. All of them had heard stories about humans. All of them had opinions about the violent young species that had only recently joined the stars. "I have lived for 170 years, began. I have seen wars and peace. I have watched empires rise and fall. I have met members of nearly every species in this confederation, and I thought I understood the universe." He paused. "I was wrong." He turned to look at Park. "3 days ago I was ready to die. My ship was falling into a neutron star. My people were screaming in fear. We sent out a distress call, but we knew no one would come in time. We prepared ourselves for the end." The chamber was completely silent. Then the humans came. His voice grew stronger. "They came even though we had insulted them for 40 years. They came even though our politicians had called them monsters and chaos bringers. They came even though their own commanders ordered them to leave us to die." Tears began to fall from his eyes. "They came because we needed help. That was enough for them. That was all that mattered." He pointed to Park. "This woman led her crew into a collapsing ship. She shielded our children with her own body. She carried our wounded on her back. When her oxygen ran low, she gave it to our people instead." He pointed to where the rest of the crew sat. "That doctor gave her breath to a baby. That pilot sacrificed his shuttle to push the ship to safety. These humans gave everything they had for strangers who had treated them with nothing but contempt." His voice broke. "We called them violent. We called them dangerous. We were not wrong. They are violent. They are dangerous. But we did not understand what that meant. We thought their violence was evil. We did not see that the same fire that makes them fierce in war also makes them fierce in love. The same stubbornness that makes them frightening enemies also makes them unstoppable rescuers. The same passion that drives them to fight also drives them to save." He turned back to the council. "You want to punish this captain for saving our lives? Then punish me too. Punish every she saved. Because we are all alive because of her. We are all alive because of humanity." Ambassador stood up next. His voice was quiet but clear. "On behalf of the government, I formally apologize to humanity for 4 decades of prejudice and hostility. We were wrong. We judged you by your worst possibilities and ignored your best qualities. Captain Park and her crew have shown us who humans really are." He bowed low, a gesture of deep respect in culture. "We will never forget what you did for us." The council chamber erupted in noise. Representatives from dozens of species began talking at once. Some were shocked. Some were moved. Some were reconsidering everything they had ever believed about humans. Admiral looked at Park. His expression had changed. The coldness was gone, replaced by something that might have been shame. "Captain," he said slowly, "the charges against you are withdrawn. Your actions have brought more honor to the Confederation than any punishment could repair." Park nodded once, but she did not smile. She stepped forward to speak, and the chamber fell silent again. "I did not do this for honor," she said. "I did not do this for political advantages or to change your minds about humans. I did it because people were dying and I could help, that's all." She looked around at the alien faces watching her. "My species is young. We make mistakes. We are violent sometimes, yes. We are passionate and stubborn and difficult. But we also believe that every life matters. We believe that strangers are just friends we haven't met yet. We believe that doing the right thing is more important than doing the safe thing." She stood despite her injuries. "You want to know what humanity is? We are the species that runs toward danger when everyone else runs away. We are the species that gives our breath to dying bobbies. We are the species that pushes ships through gravity wells with nothing but courage and stubbornness. We are the species that saves people who hate us, simply because they need saving." Her voice softened. "You called us chaos bringers. Maybe that's true, but sometimes chaos is exactly what the universe needs. Sometimes you need someone crazy enough to try the impossible. Sometimes you need humans." The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, someone began to applaud. Then another. Then another. Soon the entire council chamber was filled with the sound of 100 species showing their respect for the small human captain who had taught them something they would never forget. A week later, the horizon's edge was finally repaired. The crew gathered on the bridge one last time before departing for their next mission. They were tired but happy. Their wounds were healing. Their spirits were high. Hen walked onto the bridge carrying something in her hands. "Captain, a message came for us from the survivors." She held up a piece of paper. On it was a drawing made by a child, a young that lieutenant had carried to safety. The drawing showed a human and a holding hands. Above them were stars. Below them were the words, written in shaky but careful letters, "Thank you for saving us. You are not monsters. You are family." Park took the drawing. She looked at it for a long moment. Then she smiled, a real smile, warm and gentle. "Put it on the wall," she said, "where everyone can see it." Hand pinned the drawing to the bridge wall, right next to the that showed the stars. Looked at it and grinned. "I guess they finally know who we really are." Park nodded. She turned to face the stars, ready for whatever came next. "Yes," she said softly, "maybe now they understand. Maybe now they've seen our true colors." The horizon's edge flew forward into the endless night, carrying its crew of heroes toward new adventures. Behind them, across the galaxy, billions of beings were talking about what they had witnessed. The stories were spreading. The legends were beginning. Humanity had shown the universe who they really were. Not monsters, not chaos bringers, just people, passionate, stubborn, loving people who would cross the stars to save a stranger. And the galaxy would never see them the same way again.